vibe code? Good, hopefully everyone. How many of you here use AI to review your vibe coding to make sure that it is secure? And that's the problem, is this ratio. So what we found is most people coding a ton more. Most people are not using AI to perform security and privacy reviews. That is what we do here at Clearly. So what I'll be demoing for you today is how you can use Clearly to very quickly take a look at your code base and let you know what some of the major threats are and how to remediate them. So let's get started. So we'll create a new project, a demo web app, and then we'll add some sources from GitHub. Let's add all the components. If you had documentation, you could add it, but most developers don't have any, so we're going to demo it with none. This is just the repo, no README. And what the system is doing in the back end is taking all of that code and using it to go through the process that a security engineer would do to review your application. So things like, what is the detailed description of the system, drawing out some diagrams about how data is flowing through the system, what the major components are, the architecture, thinking about what the data flows are and whether or not the data flows cross something called a trust boundary, which is basically the determination of what areas are trusted and within the private network and what areas may be untrusted. Looking at all of the separate subcomponents, what the exposed ports are, what the different actors are in the system, and therefore what the trust level might be for them, and then what all of the description of privilege levels and things like that. Eventually, towards the bottom, you get to a full threat model with all of the security risks of this application. So things like tampering threats, repudiation threats, information disclosure, things like that, and a bunch of proposed remediations. As far as what do you do next, seeing this huge, gigantic report? Well, if you work at a financial institution, you are probably subject to a bunch of regulation that says you need to threat model everything, so you can export this as a PDF and send it to your compliance team and be done and not be bothered with them anymore. But if you really want to think about how to elevate the security of your product, you can go over and look at the overview, and we'll give you specific next steps as far as the things you can do to actually improve the security posture of your application. You can go into the areas that need more information because we weren't able to determine them directly from your code. And you can look through the company knowledge base and chat with the project and ask additional follow-up questions about what you might need to do to secure it further. So you can maybe say, for my company's geolocation to my web app. And we'll think about it, search across the knowledge bases, search across the projects, and provide grounded answers based on the actual company's policies instead of entirely out of the kind of memory of the large language model. For your security teams, they'll be able to use our dashboard to look at all the different automated reviews that we've performed and find where the hotspots really are at the company. So what the top risk areas are that they need to dive into further, maybe help build secure by default infrastructure that you can plug into, and be able to go across and see what those most common risks are and where the highest risk projects are in the organization. So that's Clearly. Any questions? Yeah.
Two higher questions. One is what LLM are you using in the background? Second, what are the CVE reports, like the one you're showing? Does it have some of these scanning jargons like Blackdot or and the third thing is the authentication. You mentioned
So we use a few different large language models across both OpenAI and Anthropic. The majority of our platform is really around building the right context. So it's mostly around different types of retrieval augmented generation, function calling, output normalization, using tools like BAML to make sure that we get structured responses back that we can then use for API calls. As far as scanners, we integrate with a lot of like the classic SCA, SAST, and DAST scanners. So we'll actually add a lot of context around something like a SEMGREP or a Black Duck, Mend, Tenable. We integrate with all of them. Some of our customers are starting to use us as a replacement for some of the traditional scanners because we can do things like secret scanning and find kind of classic CVEs, but we're really meant to be sitting kind of on top of and above that because we go from initial design doc analysis through code analysis and then out to production. And so our goal is to really help you stay secure kind of end-to-end throughout development, including with like specific compliance frameworks. So you can run, I ran a threat model, but you can also run kind of any sort of, we have privacy impact assessments. I'm trying to find one that I've already run a few things against. Like a records and processing activity is a privacy specific function that you need to run. Vendor compliance, things like that. So there's a bunch of different, things that you can run against it.
Based on what type of scan you want, or scan rather review you want to do.
Yeah, and then we'll mark and flag if like it's not compliant with your organization's policies.
Thank you.
I have one question about the board here. As you said, you're using OpenAI. Is there a plan to reinforce your security analysis and make a stronger model, which like they specialize in this static analysis?
Yeah, so we already do reinforcements. We do a lot of like automated prompt tuning based on feedback that users provide. So every time a user provides feedback, we take that into tune the prompt. Our customers are extremely sensitive to training on their data. So unless we decide to make a custom fine-tuned model for each of them, what we found has been a lot more productive is to have that context inserted at runtime and do more like prompt optimization with DSPy and things like that. I'm at time. Okay, thank you.